Greetings Warhammer enthusiast. Before you stands a voice assistant of the podcast, dedicated to spreading the greater good. If you find this information useful, please do not hesitate to leave a like and subscribe. Together, we shall explore the depths of the Warhammer universe and share in its wonders. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, amid the myriad of stars, there resides an ancient, advanced civilization known as the Asuryani, also known as the Craftworld Eldar. As descendants of the Eldari, a race of elf-like humanoids, they share kinship with the notorious Drukhari, but the Asuryani are a distinct entity in their own right. Leadership among the Asuryani is as varied as the Craftworlds themselves. There is no singular leader who rules all the Craftworld Eldar. Some Craftworlds may be governed by seer councils, groups of powerful psychers who guide their people through foresight and wisdom. Others may follow a system of clan alliances, where the strongest families or factions within the Craftworld wield power. The Asuryani, a unique race of void-faring beings, chart their course through the stars in their immense Craftworlds. Their society, while appearing rigid with its paths and roles, also has room for individualism and choice. Through their advanced technology, formidable aspect warriors, and complex societal structures, the Asuryani remain a fascinating and significant force in the galaxy. Their habitat, unlike any other known race in the galaxy, is not a planet or a moon, but colossal starships known as Craftworlds. These are not mere vessels, but fully fledged worlds within the belly of a ship, housing innumerable Eldar. Each of these Craftworlds possesses its own unique culture, heritage, and history. They are sprawling, self-sufficient ecosystems that drift through the cold, unending dark of space, sustaining the Asuryani's way of life. Despite their shared origin, the various Craftworlds are far from homogeneous. Each Craftworld has its own specific goals, strategies, and demeanor. Some prefer solitude, shunning contact with the rest of the galaxy, while others have gained notoriety due to their active engagement with other species and factions. In the age preceding the fall, the Craftworlds functioned as gargantuan trade vessels, their vast interiors filled with thriving self-sufficient communities of the Eldari. Each of these colossal ships was home to hundreds of Eldari families, forming a microcosm of their greater civilization in the heart of the cosmos. The trade missions that these Craftworlds embarked upon were no minor affairs. They often ventured thousands of light years beyond the established boundaries of Eldari space, traversing the unfathomable distances between galaxies and exposing the Eldari to civilizations far removed from their own. These lengthy excursions meant that the inhabitants of the Craftworld spent centuries separated from their homeworlds. Over time, this led to the emergence of a distinct culture within the Craftworlds, characterized by self-reliance and independence. While the rest of the Eldari civilization succumbed to an era of reckless indulgence and moral decay, the Craftworlders remained largely immune, their distance from the homeworlds protecting them from the corrosive influence of the Eldari's excesses. As the Craftworlds periodically returned to their civilization, the change in their kin was impossible to ignore. The gradual decline of their society, barely perceptible to those who were living through it, was glaringly apparent to the Craftworlders. The once proud and dignified civilization was losing itself in hedonism, its values and traditions disintegrating. Unfortunately, not all Craftworlds managed to escape in time. Some were obliterated by the unfathomable psychic energies unleashed during the fall, while others were swallowed up by the warp, lost to the voracious hunger of the newly born chaos god, Slaanesh. In the wake of the fall, the surviving Craftworlds established new colonies. Unlike the original homeworlds, these colonies are closely linked to the Craftworlds, reflecting a newfound caution among the survivors. They are different from the worlds settled by the Exodites, a faction of the Eldari who abandoned the homeworlds even before the fall. Following the cataclysmic event known as the Fall, the Craftworld served as the primary refuge for the surviving Eldari. These colossal vessels have been transporting the majority of the remaining Eldari population across the vast expanse of the galaxy ever since. Integral to the functionality and connectivity of these Craftworlds are the webway gates. These gateways form a complex network, linking the Craftworlds to each other and countless planets, providing a semblance of cohesion for the dispersed Eldari civilization. The webway, however, is a labyrinthine maze, impossible to fully map or comprehend. As a result, some Craftworlds have become lost, isolated from the rest of Eldari society and left to chart their own courses through the cosmos. In the time since the fall, the Craftworlds have greatly expanded in size, growing from mere trading vessels to sanctuary worlds. They are now an estimated 10 to 100 times larger in volume than they were before the fall, serving as self-contained biosystems, complete with forested and urbanized areas. These natural regions generate breathable atmospheres and provide renewable resources, contributing to the Craftworld's self-sustainability. Additionally, each Craftworld is not just a sanctuary but also a fortress, housing fleets of spacecraft in massive docks located outside the Craftworld. These fleets, capable of traveling through warp tunnels, enable the Eldar of the relatively slow-moving Craftworlds to transport their forces to distant regions of the galaxy. In terms of military strength, every Eldari residing on a Craftworld is a highly trained warrior. In times of conflict, these citizen soldiers, known as Guardians, form the Craftworld's defensive militia. Although each Craftworld operates as an independent realm, they have been known to act mutually, combining military forces to achieve common objectives, as well as trading or exchanging knowledge. Exodite Eldari, while maintaining relations with the Craftworlds, often express concern that the Craftworld Eldar remain too close to the old ways of decadence. Regardless, the military might of the Craftworld Eldar often extends protection to the Exodite worlds. From the perspective of the Imperium, engagement with the Craftworld Eldar has been fraught with difficulties. An attempt to launch an assault on a Craftworld ended in disaster at the Battle of the Blood Nebula, which saw the loss of an entire sector fleet. This failure led the Imperium to shift its strategy, choosing to deal with individual Eldar threats rather than risk provoking an entire Craftworld. In more recent times, the Craftworlds have faced trials of a different nature. Following the cataclysmic formation of the Great Rift, a tear in the fabric of reality that brought the chaos-infested immaterium closer to the material universe, the Craftworlds have been beset by calamities, attacks from chaos forces, and internal strife. A significant divide has emerged within Craftworld society, centered on the question of Inyad, the Eldari god of the dead, and the growing influence of its cult, the Inari. Epilogue, a major Craftworld, has so far managed to avoid this discord, maintaining its unity in these turbulent times. The culture of the Craftworlds, much like the vastness of space in which they reside, is diverse and varied. Each Craftworld has developed its unique traditions, customs, and ways of life. Craftworld Siamhan, for example, embraces a tribal culture. It's comprised of multiple clans, each with its distinct identity. These clans often engage in competitions or ritual combat, an expression of honor and a means of gaining political power within the Craftworld. In stark contrast to Siamhan is Craftworld Iyanden. Tragically affected by a devastating encounter with the Tyranids, Iyanden is now largely inhabited by spectral figures known as Ghost Warriors. These spectral soldiers represent the remains of the Craftworld's once thriving populace, a solemn reminder of the horrific struggle they endured. Craftworld Epilogue, on the other hand, is characterized by its strict discipline. Its members are widely known for their adherence to one of the many warrior paths. As a result, many find themselves leaving the Craftworld to follow the path of the outcast, a path of solitude and self-imposed exile, furthering their personal journey towards self-mastery. Despite the varying cultures, a common thread weaves through all Asuryani, their unyielding adherence to their folklore and traditions. Their legends, full of tales of ancient heroes such as Eldanesh and his brother Ulthanash, provide moral guidance and historical context for their race. Their pantheon of gods also plays a central role in their culture. Chief among these gods is the Phoenix King Asurian, considered the progenitor of the Asuryani. His children, the Asuryani, revere him deeply, drawing from his wisdom and strength. Other figures from the pantheon include the war god Khaine, known for his blooded hands, and the crone goddess Mariheg. Even though most of their gods were murdered following the fall, the Asuryani continue to honor them, their stories and lessons echoing through the halls of the Craftworlds. In the heart of every Eldar Craftworld, amidst the intertwining veins of Wraithbone and psychic energies, resides an embodiment of the Eldar's wrath and martial prowess, the avatar of Kaela Mensha Khaine, the war god of the Eldar. This being is a testament to the Eldar's ancient past, a living relic of the godly wars that shaped the Eldar's fate. When the cataclysmic event known as the Fall of the Eldar occurred, it brought about the birth of Slaanesh, the Chaos god. In the ensuing celestial conflict, Khaine clashed with this newly born god. The battle was fierce and tumultuous, echoing throughout the cosmos. Eventually, Khaine was defeated, and his divine essence shattered, scattering across the vast expanses of the universe. Fragments of his essence fell upon the Eldar Craftworlds, where they gave rise to the Wraith artifacts that would later serve as vessels for the avatars of Khaine. The avatar is more than a symbol, it is a weapon of tremendous power, awakened in times of dire need. Once every cycle, the Farseers, the prophetic seers of the Eldar, designate one of the exarchs, the martial leaders of the aspect warriors, as the young king. This individual is marked for a destiny intertwined with the god of war. As the drums of war resound and the Craftworld prepares for a significant conflict, the exarchs find themselves drawn to the chamber of the avatar, hearing its call echo within their minds. In front of the chamber's sealed door, they commence an age-old ritual meant to awaken the avatar. The young king is anointed, the air is filled with the reverberations of battle hymns, and the ritual reaches its climax as the chamber's door swings open, allowing the young king to step inside. The exarchs continue their hymns and rites outside the chamber, their voices punctuated by the silence within. This silence may persist for hours, even days, as tension and anticipation build amongst the participants. The silence is eventually broken by a deafening, otherworldly scream resonating from the chamber, the birth cry of the awakened avatar. When the avatar finally emerges, the young king is nowhere to be found, their fate a mystery. Some believe that the young king is consumed by the avatar, a sacrificial lamb to the god of war. Others propose a more spiritual interpretation, arguing that the young king's spirit merges with Khaine, achieving a form of divine unity. Despite the uncertainty surrounding this transformation, one thing is certain: when the avatar walks the battlefield, the might of the war god Kaela Mensha Khaine is made manifest once again. In the heat and fury of battle, the avatar of Kaela Mensha Khaine stands as a colossus among the Eldar warriors. His formidable presence stirs the very souls of the Eldar, filling them with echoes of a majestic past and igniting a fierce bloodlust that turns even the most stoic warriors into unstoppable forces. Fear does not exist for the avatar, his courage is a beacon, rallying his kin and often leading the vanguard of the Eldar attack. In the avatar's grasp is the legendary weapon, the Wailing Doom. The weapon's form is as mercurial as the god it serves, morphing into a sword, an axe, or a spear as the situation demands. This isn't an ordinary weapon, it is an instrument of divine wrath, capable of smiting foes at a distance by wreathing them in a nimbus of scorching psychic energy. In melee combat, the avatar wields the hand of Khaine, a molten metal gauntlet, which is perpetually soaked in the fresh blood of an aspect warrior. The avatar crushes its foes with this molten hand, delivering death in the most visceral form. Beyond its spiritual and symbolic significance, the avatar is an embodiment of raw power and durability. Its form is not that of flesh and blood but of superheated iron with a core of molten lava. This makes the avatar incredibly resistant to heat-based weaponry, with the scorching temperature of its body often rendering such attacks utterly ineffective. The avatar's incandescent form is so intensely hot that most projectile weapons become futile. Bullets and bolts are incinerated before they can even make contact. On the off chance that a shot penetrates the avatar's iron hide, it too is consumed by the blistering heat within, preventing it from detonating. Even in the face of destruction, the avatar's demise is but a temporary setback. If its physical form is vanquished on the battlefield, the godly essence within retreats, coalescing back in the central chamber of the Craftworld. From this divine crucible, the avatar is reborn, ready to once again join the eternal struggle for the survival and supremacy of the Eldar. The avatar of Khaine serves as a constant reminder to the Eldar and their enemies that the spirit of the war god lives on, indomitable and unyielding. The life of the Asuryani, or the Craftworld Eldar, revolves around the concept of paths, or Varialethra. This societal structure serves a critical purpose: to guide the Asuryani and provide a framework for the intense emotional and intellectual energy of their minds. Following a path gives them the ability to harness this power, using it constructively rather than letting it overwhelm and consume them. Following the cataclysmic event known as the Fall, the Eldar who survived on the Craftworlds underwent a complete societal transformation. They recognized that their past ways, filled with unchecked desires and decadence, had led to their near extinction and the birth of Slaanesh, a deity born of their excesses. In its wake, they adopted the system of paths, focusing their energies and dedicating their lives to mastering a discipline. Upon gaining mastery, they would then move on to a new path, and the cycle of learning would begin anew. This process does not erase the experiences and knowledge from the previous paths, but instead adds to the Eldar's cumulative wisdom. As an Eldar navigates through these different roles, they explore the many facets of their character and gain a profound understanding of the universe. However, each path is fraught with danger. The Eldar must tread carefully, for it's not uncommon for them to lose themselves in a path. Some become so engrossed and obsessed that they find it impossible to leave it even upon completion. They continue on this path until their demise, becoming lost upon the path, a fate regarded as tragic amongst their kin. One such tale is that of the doomed bards of Twilight, who have also been lost to their path, the name of which remains a mystery. Thus, the paths serve as a beacon, guiding the Asuryani through the challenges of their existence, helping them shape their destiny while providing a framework to harness their potent emotional and intellectual energy. However, not all Asuryani choose to adhere to the paths laid before them. Some opt to abandon this structure, choosing to traverse the less trodden path of the outcast. These outcasts forsake their craftworlds, choosing a life of solitude and exploration amongst the stars. But this freedom comes at a steep price, as they become susceptible to the grasp of She Who Thirsts, a malevolent entity preying on their souls. In the Eldari language, there are 5 different terms for these outcasts, each denoting the degree of their separation from their craftworld and the path. The outcasts who sever all ties with their home craftworld are termed as Esher. Those who resort to a life of piracy, renegading, and become corsairs are known as Anwraith. Even in exile, some outcasts continue to serve their home craftworlds, becoming rangers or pathfinders, guiding their kin through perilous journeys. The Eldar Paths, or Arya Lethra, present a multitude of avenues for the Asuryani, the craftworld Eldar, to express their intense emotional and intellectual capacities. While the paths of the seer and the warrior are perhaps the most renowned, they form just a fraction of the myriad paths available to the Eldar. Each path presents its own unique set of traditions, behavioral patterns, and teachings, acting as a channel for the Eldar to explore and master. Among the many paths, some are clearly delineated, providing a structured regimen that the Eldar follow. These paths could be as diverse as artisanal roles, civil administration, fabrication, colonization, trade, exploration, and more. Even though these roles may seem civilian or mundane, the Eldar in these roles are not exempt from the call of duty. In times of conflict, they step up to become guardians, joining the ranks of their craftworld's military force. Contrarily, there are less defined paths that allow the Eldar a certain degree of freedom. These paths rely on the Eldar's inherent inner strength, allowing them to harness their power in less regimented ways. The Path of Awakening is a journey of heightened perception, training the Eldar to analyze and perceive their surroundings in ways that would seem impossible to an untrained mind. The Awakening Ones, as they are known, learn to observe the world with an intensity that makes even the insignificant visible to their gaze. This path contrasts starkly with the Path of Dreaming, which encourages introspection and inward observation rather than external analysis. The Path of Awakening often acts as a prelude to another significant journey, the Path of the Artisan. The Path of the Artisan is a common choice among the Eldar. This path branches out into numerous subpaths, each dedicated to a different form of artistic expression. The Path of the Poet, the Path of the Sculptor, and many others exist within this wider path. Each minor path houses its schools of style, which further divide based on their unique interpretation of the art. An example is the School of Hithrenair, which promotes the idea of the artist and the art merging into one. Followers of this school adorn their bodies with stylistic tattoos and often bleach their skin, becoming a living canvas for their art. Another esteemed path is the Path of Command, sometimes known as the Path of the Leader. This path attracts Eldar with a keen mind for military strategy and command. The autarchs, the leaders of the Eldar forces, are typically those who have chosen this path, gaining the skills necessary to lead their kin into battle. However, the Path of Command is not for the inexperienced. It is expected that an Eldar treading this path would have previously walked several military paths, thus gaining a well-rounded understanding of warfare. The Path of the Dreamer, for instance, is a meditative journey. Those who embark on it learn to guide and control their dreams, often remaining in deep trances for days on end. During such trances, a dream watcher, another Eldar, often stands guard, overseeing the dreamer's mystical journey and ensuring their safety. Then there is the Path of Grief, a path that is as essential as it is heart-wrenching. Eldar on this path immerse themselves in mourning and remembrance, expressing the collective sorrow of their kin at funerals and remembrance services. Their grief provides an emotional outlet for others, helping them commemorate the departed without violating the discipline of their chosen path or risking the perilous wrath of she who thirsts. The Path of the Mariner, or the Path of the Steersman, appeals to those Eldar with an insatiable wanderlust and a longing for inner peace. Mariners crew the vessels of the Eldar space fleet, charting courses through the vast expanses of the galaxy, witnessing its wonders, and finding solace in the serenity of the cosmos. There exists a path that lies outside the structured framework of the Eldar paths, known as the Path of the Outcast. Outcasts, either due to youthful impulsiveness, lack of experience, or disgrace, choose to abandon the rigidity of their Craftworlds paths, wandering amongst the stars. Though this path offers a sense of freedom, it is fraught with danger. Stripped of the protective structure of the paths, these Eldar risk succumbing to madness and self-destructive tendencies. Some Eldar whisper of a horrifying path of damnation, but no details are known, as none dare to speak openly about such an aberration. Most outcasts adopt the role of rangers, wandering the cosmos and living off their skills and wits. Many eventually return to their Craftworlds, seeking the safety and structure of the paths. However, those unable to return, for various reasons, become pathfinders, forever wandering the stars. Some outcasts even turn to a life of piracy, raiding, or become mercenaries, sometimes fighting alongside other alien races, and, in dire situations, even for the forces of chaos. Among the Eldar paths, the Path of the Seer, or the Path of the Witch, stands as the most intricate, treacherous, and rarest of all journeys an Eldar may embark upon. It is also the longest path, drawing those with psychic capabilities into its fold. The Seers, as they are known, wield immense psychic prowess, navigating the perils of the warp with a grace that few others can muster. Within the ranks of the Seers, there are those with specialized roles. The Spirit Seers possess unique expertise in the handling of spirit stones, which are crucial for summoning the ghostly Wraithguards and the towering Wraithlords. The Warlocks are former warriors, who, after journeying the path of the warrior, decided to embrace the Seer's path, now leading their kin into battle with both martial skill and psychic might. Yet, the pinnacle of this path is represented by the Farseers. These are the Eldar who have wholly surrendered themselves to the path of the Seer, becoming the most potent psykers among their kind. It is said that their ultimate fate is to fully merge with their Craftworld, transforming into crystal Seers, a testament to their dedication and the inscrutable nature of their path. There is another path, less treacherous but no less significant, the Path of the Warrior. Those who embark on this journey become the famed aspect warriors of the Eldar. However, some warriors become so absorbed in the path that they lose themselves, becoming exarchs, eternal warriors who personify the martial aspect of the Eldar war god, Khaine. The aspect warriors are divided into numerous aspects, each reflecting a particular style or philosophy of combat. Among the most renowned are the Dire Avengers, the Howling Banshees, the Striking Scorpions, the Fire Dragons, the Swooping Hawks, the Dark Reapers, the Crimson Hunters, and the Warp Spiders. There are other less-known aspects, some of which are unique to specific Craftworlds. Among the rarer aspects are the Shining Spears, the Shadow Spectres, and the Eagle Pilots, who are esteemed as the Eldar equivalent to fighter pilots. Interestingly, the Guardians of the Eldar, despite their martial role, do not tread the path of the warrior. These Eldar follow various civilian paths, and are summoned to fight for their Craftworld only during times of dire emergency. Their martial prowess is an extension of their duty to their Craftworld rather than an intrinsic part of their chosen path. Lastly, the path of service presents Eldar with an opportunity to devote themselves to the service of others. Guided by the same sense of duty that inspires their kin to adopt more militant paths, those on the path of service perform tasks that might seem menial to humans, but hold immense importance in the harmonious functioning of Eldar society. Within the intricate tapestry of the Eldar paths, one can find a unique and awe-inspiring group known as the Bonesingers. These gifted individuals are not warriors or seers, but they still play an invaluable role in Eldar society. Tasked with the construction and maintenance of Eldar structures and machinery, they are the master crafters of the Eldar race, the architects of the ethereal cities and awe-inspiring craftworlds that are the homes of their kin. Bonesingers owe their remarkable abilities to their psychic connection with a psychoplastic substance known as Wraithbone. Wraithbone is a crucial element of Eldar technology, serving multiple purposes in their civilization. It forms the backbone of their buildings, vessels, and weapons, a material unlike any other known to the galaxy's inhabitants. In essence, Wraithbone is solidified warp energy, a materialization of the immaterial, a tangible manifestation of the realm of thought and emotion. This unique substance can be shaped and molded by the psychic abilities of the Bonesingers into any form they desire. Despite its seemingly delicate nature, Wraithbone is an incredibly resilient substance, stronger than the toughest plasteel and more resistant to damage than adamantium. Perhaps its most intriguing property is its ability to self-repair. Like a living organism, Wraithbone can mend itself over time, a process that can be expedited by the psychic ministrations of a Bonesinger. Beyond its structural uses, Wraithbone possesses inherent psychic abilities, serving as a conduit for psychic energy and housing psychic shields to protect its occupants from the warp's tumultuous energies. An Eldar structure, vessel, or weapon crafted from Wraithbone is not merely a lifeless construct, it is a psychic entity in its own right. The Eldar use their psychic powers to interact with Wraithbone, but it is the substance itself that carries out their commands. The construction of an Eldar ship, for instance, begins with the creation of a basic Wraithbone framework. This is followed by the crafting of the internal spaces and ends with the creation of the ship's intricate internal components. This process is not limited to ships, even the vast and complex Craftworlds, the gigantic starfaring cities of the Eldar, are composed entirely of Wraithbone. Thanks to the psychic shields embedded in Wraithbone, the inhabitants of Craftworlds were protected from the catastrophic psychic scream that marked the birth of Slaanesh, the chaos god who relentlessly hunts the Eldar. By emitting a sympathetic psychic signal, Wraithbone enables Eldar to control Wraithbone constructs, resulting in the graceful, flowing architecture characteristic of Eldar structures. Thus, in the hands of a Bonesinger, Wraithbone becomes more than a material. It becomes an orchestra of psychic potential, a canvas upon which the Eldar inscribe their culture, their survival, and their dreams for the future. Through their songs, the Bonesingers shape Wraithbone, giving form to the Eldar's indomitable will and testament to their resilience amid a hostile galaxy. In the complex tapestry of the galaxy, the Craftworld Eldar engage in a delicate dance with their own mortality. Their lives are not only defined by the intricate paths they walk during their existence, but are also profoundly shaped by the unique measures they take to preserve their souls from an unthinkable fate after death. This fate is none other than the torment inflicted by the insatiable chaos god, Slaanesh, who ceaselessly yearns to claim their souls. To protect themselves from such a horrifying end, the Craftworld Eldar have perfected the use of a singularly unique artifact known as the Spirit Stone. These stones, crafted with a depth of knowledge and skill that few can comprehend, possess the extraordinary ability to capture and safeguard the Eldar's souls at the very moment of death. Like a sanctuary amidst a tumultuous storm, the Spirit Stones offer refuge from the relentless grasp of Slaanesh. Once a Spirit Stone has fulfilled its primary function and ensnared an Eldar soul, it is not left to languish. Instead, it is transported to a place of great importance and reverence in the Craftworld, the Infinity Circuit. This labyrinthine network, the spiritual and energetic core of the Craftworld, provides a resting place for the stones and the souls they carry. The spirits become one with the living essence of the Craftworld, sharing in its existence, its consciousness, and its eternal journey through the cosmos. However, death is not always an end for the Eldar. In times of great peril, when the Craftworld is threatened, the spirit stones can serve another purpose. Plugged into the heart of towering wraith constructs, the contained souls are roused from their rest. Suddenly, the once lifeless constructs are filled with the martial prowess and wisdom of the Eldar spirits, transformed into potent engines of war. These wraith constructs, from the nimble Wraithguard to the imposing Wraithlords, embody the unity of the past and the present, the living and the dead. In this state, the deceased Eldar are given a chance to defend their people once again, standing as bulwarks against the Craftworld's enemies. Thus, the Spirit Stones and the Infinity Circuit represent a cycle of life, death, and rebirth for the Craftworld Eldar, a cycle as complex and beautiful as the paths they tread, shaped by their relentless will to survive in the face of the universe's many threats. Among the vast expanse of the cosmos, the mighty Craftworlds of the Eldar navigate the star-ridden sea. Likely constituting the majority of the Eldar's remaining numbers, these gargantuan, city-like starships are not mere vessels of travel, but embodiments of the Eldar's past, the cradle of their present, and the hope for their future. Their true numbers are as elusive as the nebulae from which they emerge, yet they serve as vital strongholds of Eldar industry, technology, and a culture that has endured through the cycles of galactic time. Each Craftworld carries within its massive structure the echoes of a world that once was. Encased within protective biodomes are flourishing ecosystems, repositories of diverse flora and fauna native to the Eldar's original homeworlds. These environments are tended with reverence and meticulous care, each species a link to a past torn asunder, a memory made tangible and ever-growing. From this, one can infer the profound respect the Eldar have for the preservation of life, a testament to their resilience amidst devastation. The Craftworlds are distinct entities, each following its path and governance. Yet, their shared history and existential threats foster an inherent sense of community. Aid and advice are typically extended and reciprocated among Craftworlds, uniting them in times of peril. However, harmony is not absolute, and disagreements may occasionally lead to conflicts. Such confrontations are the last resort, reflective of the deeply entrenched convictions that define each Craftworld. The heart of every Craftworld is the Infinity Circuit, a vast network of Wraithbone, which is more than just the skeletal framework of the Craftworld. It is a spiritual reservoir, a sentient matrix where the souls of the Craftworld's deceased dwell. Upon death, Eldar souls are absorbed into this communal consciousness, contributing to a pool of psychic power and wisdom that guides the living. In the wake of Slaanesha's rise, this Infinity Circuit has become the Eldar's refuge against oblivion, their safeguard against the insatiable hunger of the great enemy. Should an Eldar's soul not find its way into the Infinity Circuit, it risks being lost to the warp, a fate more terrifying than death itself. For this reason, the Eldar defend their Craftworlds with an unmatched ferocity and tenacity. The stakes are higher than the survival of their homes, the very essence of their ancestors is on the line. A Craftworld's fall would mean the obliteration of countless souls, an unthinkable loss that would echo across the galaxies. This shared responsibility forms a bond between the living and the dead, a cycle of existence that is the Eldar's lifeblood amidst the innumerable challenges of the cosmos.